justice, access to information. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Lucy Njungu.
Good afternoon once again. Good afternoon. I'm happy to recognize many of our officers from my previous life at the Attorney General's office, where we interacted with records for, I think, 19 years. And I did not know what I know today. If I knew what I know today, I think we would have done better. We would have done what the chairperson was proposing, come up with good laws to prepare for the future of this country in terms of records. I therefore want to say that I am truly happy that the organizers thought that the Commission on Administrative Justice should be present today to discuss this theme of economic recovery post-COVID-19, the role of records and information management professionals in Kenya. This year's theme does resonate very, very well with the Commission on Administrative Justice mandate, that is the oversight, or the Oversight Commission on Article 35 of our Constitution and Access to Information Law. We want to say that as a commission, we are truly committed to ensure that access to information is implemented, is known, and it talks to us. Currently, we just started implementing the actions that came into force in 2017, and it has not truly talked to the people. So as a commission, we want to make sure that it is with us, it is also giving us values as it was meant to do. Why did we pass Article 35? The coming into force of Article 35 was because we were addressing a gap. And this gap is called the culture of secrecy. Every government record was held in secrecy. And those who were employed in the 60s, in the 70s, you know you had to sign that secrecy form. And at the same time, the same law stated that you could never give records to anyone unless you are officially authorized. And even where you are authorized, some records were not shared. So our Article 35 came to address the culture of secrecy, and that is what the Commission on Administrative Justice wants to talk to you about today. As a commission, we are constituted under Article 59(4) of our Constitution. We are a sister commission to the Kenya Human Rights Commission, GEC, and all the others. And we also implement other laws, one of them obviously being the Constitution, which is the law of this country. We also implement the Commission on Administrative Justice Act, the Constituent Act, which appoints the commission, and it gives us the direction of how we will operate. And like I said, we also implement access to information law and fair administrative action. You heard what our chief guest said, that we must implement justice and information. We are also alive to the fact that we must, as a public office, there is the act called the Public Service Values and Principles Act 2015, which operationalized Article 10, Article 232, also Chapter 15 of our Constitution. So we also insist that as we do our work, that act is part and parcel of our operations. And access to information is very old. It is older than Kenya because it was recognized in 1946 when the UN body came into being, and in the resolution 59, it is stated clearly in that resolution that freedom of information is a fundamental human right, and it is the touchstone of all freedoms to which the UN itself is consecrated. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that if you are the records officer or you are the records manager, the archivist, you should know that you are engraved at the international level, and you have a duty to implement this resolution by ensuring that the records we have, the information we keep, resonates very well with all the international legal instruments. And I can go on and talk about the 1948, the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, which still talked about the need to give freedom of expression, freedom of information to the citizens of every republic, because this will ensure growth. And obviously, you know, as an African, we have signed the African Charter on human rights, on people and human rights, and that one talks about anti-corruption. Because she is here, I think she knows more about it. And in that act, there is a statement that information must be shared freely. And government of the African Union, they must ensure that they put in structures to ensure that good records are shared and information is freely given. The topic for today was on COVID-19 pandemic and how, as a commission, we have fared during the pandemic and how we can address the economy. We realized that as a commission, the new normal did bring something that we did not expect. For the first time, everybody recognized that information is very key. Even as you sat in your sitting room, even as you went doing other businesses in the farm or wherever you are, you wanted to know, how is COVID spreading? How is COVID being addressed? How do I get the protocol? Because I don't want to move and then I'm arrested. And this is the time, as a commission, we thought that we should be at the center of addressing COVID-19 issues. We do know that COVID-19 affected all the sectors, including the economy and the health sector. We also know that at that particular time, all government institutions closed down, and access to information was very, very necessary. And as a commission, we did issue a guidelines on how access to information should be utilized. During that time, as a commission, we also realized that we must tell governments that they have an obligation to proactively disclose information on issues relating to health, and that circular was uploaded by all people, and we got good recommendation that we should continuously issue such circulars. We also know that access to information during the COVID-19 pandemic did bring on board the need to use information communication technology platforms every day. The Commission is a member of an international body called ICIC, that is International Conference on International Commission of Information Commissioners. And during COVID-19, this body was very active online, and we thought that it is important to spark growth across the world by using access to information as a tool. And what we did, because we are a member of the executive committee, we came up with what every country should do. And we issued a circular resolution, and it is stated very clearly that, one, transparency and access to information tools should be incorporated into the design of public service. We also insisted that all public officers should be made to embrace access to information as an instrument of ensuring that the citizens receive information and receive the services they require. We also insisted that access to information as an instrument of accountability in the public service should be incorporated in all government policy. We also stated that access to information should be viewed as a means of strengthening institutions for the public good and sustainable development. As a commission, CAJ is very ready to effectively oversight and implement access to information. And currently, as a commission, we are doing many things, and I can highlight a few milestones insofar as access to information is concerned. I talked about the proactive disclosure, where we issued the circular, and at the same time, as a commission, we have insisted that every government institution must have an access to information officer. Sometimes the access to information officer are derived from records managers. So I am insisting that if we want to implement access to information as it should be under the Constitution and access to information law, insist that whoever is being appointed as access to information officer should have the knowledge of records. Currently, I find that they are appointing communication officers, but to us, access to information is more than PR. It is not just telling the world what you are doing, but and that is what communication officers do. Access to information is going deeper, looking for those records, and releasing to the public as and when it is required. So for us, we would recommend that you combine, the offices should combine both communication officers, but more so, someone who has the knowledge of records. So that when you retrieve it, you do not destroy it. And when you retrieve it, you retrieve it as it is requested. And currently, most institutions have appointed access to information officers, but we have not seen records officers being brought on board. So we are recommending that you become our ambassadors, go insist that as institutions appoint access to information officers, at least some of them are records managers or officers. At the same time, the commission did review many of the decisions of public institutions which had given information, and some had refused to give information. We insisted that they should. So we have had many discussions with a government institution on how ATI requests should be processed, STI requests should be given, and we have, in that direction, I must say we have been successful. When we engage public institutions, they respond and they give information. We are not there yet, but we are doing something. On capacity building, the Commission has commenced this activity in partnership with other development partners. Red Team will come so that we can also train records officers at the county level, at the national level, and in piecemeal, because in such a gathering, we may not be able to train you. We have also developed materials to be used by public officers, and we have a handbook on best practices on implementation of access to information. We have a guide on proactive disclosure for public officers at national and county government level, which was developed in 2018. We also have a simplified version of Access to Information Act and Access to Information Journalist Handbook, which we are using to train journalists. And currently, knowing that it's a direction here, we are partnering with the Media Council of Kenya to train journalists on access to information. Because those who are there in 2007 and those who are there in 2013 and 2017, you do know how important it is to train journalists on access to information so that they release information which will not ban this country, but will help this country insofar as elections are concerned. Other reforms we have come up with is to ensure that the county governments do develop access to information law, and what we did, we developed a model law on access to information for county government, which we have shared. All these documents I'm talking about are in our website. As a commission being the oversight and implementer of ATI, we are supposed to monitor what government is doing at the national level and at the county level. So what we did is we teamed up with IPHIPOS, which is an NGO, and we have developed a tool which can go through all the websites of our institution and tell us that whether they are disclosing information as they should. This is an ongoing process. We may report about it next time. As you are aware, we do not have regulations to implement access to information law, but we have drafted the regulations. They are now at the tail end, whereby they will be submitted to Parliament, and we do hope before they go on recess in December, we will have submitted it and they will pass it. The regulations gives us a process. How do you deal with access to information? The act just gives us a framework, but the regulation is in details. Finally, I want to talk about the importance of record management. And like somebody said, The bedrock of access to information is the availability of a strong, reliable, and efficient record management system. We also know that if your records are digitized, if your records have integrity, if your records bring about accountability and transparency, you will therefore increase remove the issue of misplaced files, which was talked about by the chief guest today. You will remove the issue of giving information which is half-baked. You will reduce the risk of also giving information which you should not give. Because access to information law has a clause which states very clearly which document you should release and which document you should not release. Why am I saying this? You cannot have a the records management system being placed in any other department. It must stand on itself. If it doesn't stand on itself, it will not be recognized during budgetary processes. It will not be recognized. Thank you. Finally, I've said something. So, okay, that's what we are advocating through KAMA. Insist and insist again. ICT came just the other day, and they became departmental heads, they became directorates, and which records are they using? And how can you not become a directorate? Why can't you not become a full unit within maybe a directorate? That is the only way you will grow as a professional, and you also grow as a country, because you keep data, which is the oil and the soil in the world. That is what we are recommending as a commission. Let us develop our own system to address our manual system. Also, we are also insisting that it is very, very important to have clear distinctions between officials and non-official records. Because we have so many non-official records in the stores, and we have the most important records which should be kept at the fingertips so that they are retrieved and given. Finally, we also want to say that records, and it was said by the chief guest, David, that records are corporate resources. We have seen that in many institutions, they value the cars. There's even given a package, you know that. They also value computers, but they do not value the records itself. So let's start selling records as a resource. When we record resource in that assets management, there's a book where we record assets. Can records also be recorded? And that is the only way we will be able to preserve our records. It will not, our records, they will not be stolen and be used by international bodies. And also, we are saying that it is very, very, very important to rely on digitization. We also want to insist that all government offices should have internet, and also have officers who understand records and ICT merge together to a greater height. And Aisha, please recognize Aisha, who is our regional coordinator in Omagh. She was with you last year, and she is still with you today. Thank you very much.
When you talk about access to information, and we have the record managers who are manning the registries, and they are left out in almost every organization, I was for the suggestion that something must be done, and something should be done to ensure that they are the people who are doing their work. Because if I am the one who is going to give information, somebody outside there might say that I give the wrong information. Or even if I give the information, it can be distorted outside there. And it will not be the actual, it will not have the integrity, even the completeness that I expected to have. The access to information, to be very, very effective, I think you need to advise the government of your intentions, and make sure that in your advice that you tell them, these are the people that we expect to be doing the work, or these are the people who have the competence that we require to give information. And that one I think we have gone a long way.
My name is Maria Umando of the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining. Now, for us to be heard in the access to information, I feel it is imperative that it be put as part of the performance contract. What do you people think? If it is embedded in the performance contract, we'll get more hearing, yeah? That is my view. And if also the librarians, you know, they are our counterparts. In such a scenario, they should not also be left out in access to information. They are also an important profession in searching and retrieval of this information. Thank you.
I really fought time to ensure that we change the structure of where records personnel are placed within the organization, because you don't have a voice because of the organizational structure. More often than not, we are placed either in HR or admin, and at the end of the day, the budgets that are allocated don't come to us because we'll be the last people to get a voice out of that budget. So my voice is, would you as Madam Commissioner, of course dealing with the influence that you have and our karma that we are here, and I know from the World Bank, we are pushing on in that particular discussion of ensuring that record management gets recognized in institutions, and in the reorganization of the structure, we get a department where we allocate resources. We are able also to voice on and sit on the table where the matters of information and record management take place. Of course, when we talk about access to information, in the life cycle of information, access is key and critical, and we are the custodians of that particular information as you mentioned. So we will come a long way in partnering with you in issues of data and data management and their influence in our country. We also need to extend our hand in partnering with our ICT and IT counterparts.
I wish, Madam, maybe in the next or the Ghana office, next time, invite those on Sunday, the HR in part of personnel records and the registrars in the administration for student records, so that we can act efficient. That's why at times you find the challenge of loss of marks for students. In this mark sheet, there's a signature and set for that exam, but there is a missing marks for, and you have the real marks from the sheet, but from the other side it is less or missing. So maybe Madam can help us.
I think we all know why we are record officers and what created us. Because the problem here, because when we always want to move in any step forward, we are pulled up. Because the act that creates a record, we happen to come from the same act. And now there's a circular which they seem not to recognize so much. If only we could be an independent act, it could be better for us to follow. That's what
Thank you.
Reforms from whichever angle are never given. Reforms, you must fight for them. So it's up to you to fight for those reforms you want. And those reforms you address nearly every day you are talking about. So I'm suggesting that you will come up with what is it called? A matrix of all the reforms you would want to bring up, whether it's separation of the act from records management, from the archives, whatever reforms you are advocating, just suggest. And you may write 100% of what you want and you get 50. That's okay. You have moved. So my request is that as a resolution from here, let's have a matrix on what reforms are we advocating. If you want to elevate these CAMA members to another level, whether at the institutional level or at an individual level, you must grow together, the organization and yourself. Because even the way you are moved, it's very slow. I've been there, and some of you people know. I fought for it. Our office at the aging, it was the clerks who are records managers. And they were not being promoted. And Lusaboro is there. I really thought that they were the managers of the company's register, the society's register, public trustees register, and let me tell you, they were not moving. Even if they brought certificates, because they were clerks and others were records officers, they were not moving because there was no career progression of records officers. So just fight, bring the reforms. And on the issue of records and students and the institution of higher learning, sincerely, Emory, there is an area we feel must be addressed. We have received many complaints, and Aisha, you know about it, of students not receiving certificates because of loss of records through the other level of maladministration. So perhaps if we can combine access to information and maladministration issues, because we have received those complaints, we can address your CEOs and Aisha, that's a take home from us. And also, it is important that you also fight for your space. Be the control of that. This is like we say, it is your gold. Try to use it for you and also for the others. We are very happy with that statement. You are the change the country is looking for. Sincerely, you are the change the country is looking for. Why? Everybody in the whole republic is looking for data. And you hold it. And you are not utilizing it. So just use your position to bring this change, but fight for your space. And I agree with you that we need to discuss with Kama, that is Catherine, on how we should change the structure, the organizational structure, and you be elevated to the level whereby we can write to you directly, we want this, we need this, instead of going, I think, like 4 levels. That record you have there, by the time me as a citizen receives it, I will have gone, I don't know how many levels. So is there a way that you are at that higher level so that you give the information as soon as it is requested? And then Maria, performance contracting, we were there, and I understand now they have removed that. On performance, the current, isn't it true, Aisha? The current performance contracting, the review which took place, we had insisted that there should be training for public officers and access to information, but there was a recommendation that it should be removed. Our chair is fighting it. I hope we will be returned. And yes, we need to issue an advisory opinion on the competence of how you give information or access to information officers. We really need to recommend that records managers should not be left out for us when we implement ATI. And with that, I think I've answered nearly everything. Thank you.
I hope you all enjoyed your lunch and are energized for us to do this next session. So I start by thanking the leadership of Kama for inviting us to be here today. As you heard, my name is Milton Owol. I'm here to represent our managing director who was supposed to come and talk on this topic. Because of various things, he couldn't make it, so he requested me to come and represent him, and I'm happy to be here. I think the other thing I would say as I start is also to congratulate the Kama leadership. I have been speaking to records and information management people for a long time, and I have not seen such a large gathering of records and information management professionals. So clearly what Kama is doing in Kenya is gaining traction, and it's a great thing. So today I'm going to share with you the story of NSSF Uganda and how we are integrating technology in records and information management to help us transform the business. So there are 5 areas that I'll cover. I chatted with the organizers. I said I'll try and do this within 30 to 40 minutes. So in those areas, I wanted to paint the context of records management. And in that, the key thing is all about the significance of getting it right in as far as records management is concerned. All the speakers who spoke this morning, I think, did a fantastic job in terms of emphasizing how important it is to keep the right records and to manage the records properly. So I won't spend much time on that. The second area I'll cover is the business case for NSSF Uganda. What was happening at that point which made us make the decision to invest in technology in terms of managing records. And then I'll quickly talk through our journey to paperless, where we partnered heavily with a company in Kenya, you people know CPF, strong partnership to help us move that journey. And then I'll share with you the results for NSSF, what are the things that we see that make us feel happy with ourselves. And finally, I'll share some takeaways. Right, so in terms of the context, I said we won't spend much time on this because you guys are the professionals in records and information management. I am not, although I've worked with records people for a long time, so I won't talk much. Suffice it to say that records are as old as history. For the last 20 years or so, I've worked with records people or records managers like you. I can categorize them into 3 categories. Okay? The first category are people who you would call are very good at records keeping. They know what came in when, what went out when, what document is created by who, and they keep the records extremely well. The second group of people I've worked with are people I would call excellent records managers. They know how to manage the records properly. They know not just which records were created by who and when. They know things about how to archive it, for what period of time has the record remained active, who the paper trail, who has at what stage and what stage, which is great. The third phase, or the third group of records people that I've worked with are what I would call records leadership. People who provide leadership in records. How much value do we mine out of the records that we keep? If you're somebody who is in HR, for example, we do look after medical people. You know every day how many of our staff went to see a doctor for what illness and for what. We have that record, right? Do we just keep it that we know 40 people went because they had malaria, so I've got the records? Or do we extract value out of it? If 40 people or 40% of our staff went to see a doctor because of this particular ailment, what does that information mean for the organization? What does the organization need to do now in a proactive way to forestall it? Yeah? If you're in whatever field you're in education, you are in finance, you look at the records that are in your possession. What is the data telling you? What's the meaning that you create out of that? And what proactive action needs to be done out of that? You know, it's very easy to say that records managers need to get into the leadership teams. All of us want to get into leadership teams. But when you get into leadership teams, the expectation is that your value creation is of a strategic nature. You're not only giving information, but you're giving information that the business can translate into tangible value. You just ask yourselves, what are some of the things in terms of value addition that the profession of records and information management needs to do differently or in addition to what you're already doing that will make visible demonstration of value addition to the respective businesses that you're doing? The legislation might be there, and I've seen legislation saying lots of things, you know, gender equity, I don't know, all those things can be legislated, but unless the people who make the big decisions can see the tangible value addition of implementing that legislation, then you go up in circles. NSSF strategy has 4 strategic pillars. There are only 4 things. You ask anybody at NSSF Uganda, what are we here to do? Everyone will tell you 4 things. The first thing is get your people engaged. Because we hear every day, the most important resource in an organization is people. Everyone says that, right? So, Good staff give good service to customers, and that drives customer satisfaction. We want 95% customer satisfaction of all the NSSF members. Secondly, they will refer other people to come to you because they will say, I am with that organization, they are good people, all right? So if they refer more people to us, that's how we'll get the 20 trillion. Currently, we are a 15 trillion fund. Our target is to be 20 trillion by 2025. So this is NSSF's 10-year strategy. It started in 2015. We haven't changed it. We do change the pillars around it, but in terms of the headline, we drive staff engagement, which will drive turnaround time, and then customer satisfaction, which will give us the numbers. That is having people at the core of your strategy. Now, if you look at that, there are many things we do to drive people's satisfaction. But for the purposes of leveraging technology, the two things I want to share with you is, first, you need to leverage technology to enable people to work from anywhere at any time. With technology today, you don't have to be in the office at 8. You don't even have to be in the office at all, so long as you know what you need to deliver. Yeah? The other one is innovation. Innovation, because the world of work is changing every day. People are innovating, and innovation is no longer for the senior guys only. Everyone, we are 600 staff at the fund. We believe everyone can innovate in their space. All we want from you is document it, share it with us, so that other people can learn from it and also improve their things. So before we went digital, because we've now gone digital, and today people talked about all these things. Manual processes, yeah? Manual processes. If you're keeping people's records, you know, people typically finish college at age 22. Uganda people work until they are 60 years. So how many years are those? 38 years, yeah? You're keeping people's records for 38 years. Every single day, some new record is coming back. The day the guy is coming at age 60, you can imagine how voluminous that record is. So that took a lot of time because we had 90% of the records in that physical form. Document flows, you know, the boss has gone out for tea, so the file is on his desk waiting for him to come back. The boss lost somebody, he has traveled up country, you got to wait until Monday when he comes back. Something you know that with technology, the guy could approve whatever it is even as he's being driven in his car. Yeah? Accountability, you know, memos moving from one desk to the other, to the other, to the other. First of all, every day we create records. We got 600 employees. We got about 1.2 million members of NSSF. Every one of those people is creating records every day. We got 2,000 suppliers. All of those are bringing invoices and correspondence every day. Our own employees, so call it that every day we're making close to 1 million records. All those records have to be stored in manual form, and that of course meant costs. You know, you've got to get physical storage space. Delayed decision making. If someone, I mean, we have different sites where records are kept. So the day Moses comes for his claim, or the day supplier X comes in, somebody in records, unfortunately, your colleagues, somebody will be assigned to go and retrieve those records manually, then come back with a piece of paper, which is then used to do things. That takes time, it takes energy, and it takes a lot of time. Yeah. Customer delays increased, because sometimes it takes 2 days to retrieve a file. If you want to give people the best interest, it means not only are you focusing on the revenue generation from your investments, but you also have to manage your costs. So when we do cost reductions like this, it translates into an increased return for our members. That's why we're able to give 12%, we're able to give 14%, even when inflation is at the range of 4 or 5 or 6. Yeah? The other one is accountability. We got capability for real-time tracking of where the workflows are. If you ask me the 2 most important jobs in an organization, apart from the MD, it has to be the guys who do records and the guys who do HR. Because you're managing people, it's people who will create whatever it is that, and you're managing records, and that's where it comes. So, with that, I say thank you very much for listening to me. and for giving me the time to speak to you.
My name is George Kidiga from Bandari South. I want to thank you so much for that wholesome presentation, and I have 3 questions. How do you deal with cyber crimes? And also, we know that NSSF deals with majorly older people over 60 years, and those people are suffering from technology called phobia. How do you deal with that? And then lastly about the power. You know, in Africa here we have power outrage, and also internet sometimes goes down. So how do you deal with those issues?
Thank you very much for your presentation. From what I got from your presentation at NSSF Uganda, we saw there was a lot of management support in terms of integration between the records management team and the entire organization. What are you going to tell us, because from the experience we have in our organization, the most disturbing experience that we have is lack of management support. This comes from a situation whereby you find the records management team are placed under other departments, either administration or HR. And then when there is that process of budget allocation, you realize that the only budget that is allocated to this team is very, very minimal. They want to purchase only files, staplers, and paper punch. Now, for our organization to integrate the way you have shown up with the NSSF Uganda, and the way you are talking from the HR perspective, because the most challenging people in this profession are the HR. They like putting this profession under them as a second-class section. Thank you.
I'm Anna Tieno. My question is, you say that you are the HR, and this is more of technological. So at any point, did you involve your IT people? Because you find that in some organizations, when such things come up, maybe it's a record project, the IT are involved. So you find that at some point, there's that push and pull between the IT and the records. At some point, the IT want to own the system, while it is the baby project for the records office. So I just want to know, how did you go about it, and where is the IT? Are they involved in the maintenance of the system as much as you're working with the CPF? Thank you.
I wanted to know the records and information management structure in Uganda. Do they also have a government, maybe a government ministry or body that is spearheading the records management? And do they have a body? Or maybe like now we have Karma. Do they have a professional body in Uganda? Thank you.
If anybody in records management sees buying files, staplers, and paper punches as a key part of your job, you know there's a big problem, isn't it? There's a very big problem there. This thing of buying files and punches and whatever really shouldn't even be sitting in records management. Those are, I think, miscellaneous procurement by somebody. You guys need to raise the game a lot higher. You shouldn't be buying punches, honestly, or even keeping records how many punching machines are there. Yeah? Management support, and you guys are all managers. Yeah? I'm sure there are people who have come to you with a proposal. Some of them you say yes, some of them you say no. The reason you say no to some projects is if you don't see the value addition to those projects. Yeah? If somebody, you're based here in Mombasa, and somebody says, you know, I want to go to, I don't know, Nairobi to do this and this, and you believe that the value of that person going to Nairobi is not value add, of course you'll say no, right? So the tip I give you, as records managers, but even in life, whenever somebody tells you no, It's because they haven't appreciated the value addition of what you're proposing. So you take his no or her no, go back to the drawing board and create meaning for them. In my earlier life, the first job I came to do in Kenya here, I was called area training manager. So I was in charge of training for BAT East Africa. And I used to have the biggest hard time with people who are doing marketing. So if you tell the guy, marketing manager, that I need your sales representatives or marketing, whatever, to come and be here for 2 days for training, the most immediate answer for him would say, no, I need my guys in the field to sell. These guys are here to sell. You, HR, you want to just... But the moment he understands that if those guys are selling 400 units per day and you're taking them away for 2 days, they won't sell 800 units. If he learns that by those guys coming here for 2 days, when they go back, they will not be selling 400 units per day, but 600 or 700 units. Then he knows that by me investing 2 days, I'll reap much more. You get it? If somebody sees the value of what you're proposing, they have no reason, because your success is your boss's success, right? You might say you're the head of whatever, but you don't do it all by yourself. The guys who make you succeed are the guys who work for you, right? The moment that person who works for you makes a request which you believe helps you either as a department or as an organization be stronger, everyone will say yes. So don't take a no as lack of support. Take a no as lack of clarity for the decision maker on the value you're bringing on the table. The second one, which I think I would like to talk, is something that came from there about where IT evolved, who owns the system. That's also a very important question. You know, in many companies, I saw this when I worked with GE. We used to have a mantra written on our doors and whatever. Something along the lines of so much more gets done if we don't think about who takes the credit. You know, sometimes you put teams together, everybody wants to be seen by the boss as they are the guys who are. Everyone wants to take the credit. So the IT guy wants to take the credit, the records guy wants the credit, the HR guy wants the credit. If all of you in the same team are fighting for who gets the credit, guess what happens? Work suffers, right? Because if I'm the HR guy who wants credit and I see the IT guy is running away with it, I'll pull back a little bit. Instead of supporting, I pull back because I want the credit for myself. So part of what we say in change management is, remember I said something about get somebody whose heart is in it. If my heart is in something, it doesn't matter for me who takes the credit. I just want it done. Yeah? I just want it done. If your heart is, for example, saying, whatever example, if your heart is in it, it doesn't matter who takes the credit. You want it done. That's the point. Your child's education, for example, you want him or her to enter a certain school that you really, really like. Does it matter for you whether it's your brother who takes credit for having given him that opportunity to enter that school, or whether it's your wife or your uncle or yourself? All that you want is your child to enter that school. And that's what we tell people. When you're in a project team, choose people whose emotional commitment to that thing is there. So yes, true, that project team had IT people represented there, it had records people, it had HR, it had finance, because it's money involved. It had a whole collection of people. At the end of the day, all that we are all looking for is it running? Is it brought to life? It doesn't matter who takes the credit, yeah? The more we get more of what people think about that, the better. I know we like to be promoted, so everyone wants to be given credit, but at the end of the day, and I'm talking to you as an HR person, people get promoted not because of how much noise you make about yourself or how much credit you gather around yourself. What you do speaks louder than what noise is around you. Yeah? Just get the job done. Just get it done. There is somebody out there who is looking. Get it done. Yeah? Then there is other ones, cyber crimes, technology, phobia, and internet outage. Those are, okay, cyber crimes is a big one because we live in a world which is increasingly congregating in the cyberspace. There are people who use that to try and make money for themselves. So yes, NSSF invests a lot of money in terms of cyber crime. So we've got people in IT, we've got people in risk, we've got people whose work is to try and build all those firewalls against to protect NSSF. But the truth of the matter is, nobody can ever be 100% secure, right? We've had big companies in the US being hacked. So you do the best that you can and try and keep abreast as much as, so we sponsor our guys to learn, anti-cyber crime things. So far we are lucky. Now nobody has hacked into our system. We pray to God that it remains that way. But we can't tell our members that it's 100%. Some of these things we look at the pros and cons. The pros of going cyber or going digital comes with cyber threats. But the risk of not doing it means you remain analog. So which one on the balance of things goes for you? We think you still have to go with technology in spite of the minimum risks. I think we've covered it all from the list.
I think there was one asked by the lady, final one, the structure of records management.
Yes, yes, and we have a professional body. Yes, it's there. Remember when I started speaking, I was commenting Kama. It's there, but it's not anywhere as strong as what people have. When I go to speak with them in some of their meetings, usually it will be a quarter of the room. So the records, the professional body exists. I hope I can connect them with some people from Kama. I got a card so that they can benchmark with you and learn from you a little bit. The structure in government, we don't have a standalone. I saw the ladies here who spoke and gave me the impression as if there is a whole directorate of records management. Well, that's there. We have something in the ministry which deals with that, but I don't think it's given the kind of prominence that you have it here and that you have here. And my own judgment of why that's the case is because of the records managers we have. You guys can influence the structure of government, you can influence the structure of your organization, you can influence a lot of things that happen in your space. And the way to influence it is by demonstrating the value addition. The more people see the value addition you bring on the table, the more they put you in a structure at a level where you're able to influence strategy, you're able to deliver strategy. The more you're buying files and staplers, well, you won't even be good enough to report to the head of HR. They will make you report to the head of somebody who is, because you're buying staplers and files, honestly. Why would anyone? You need to do better than that, and then your profile goes. Go to create value. I wish I had time. There are so many things we can talk about how records managers can create proactive value through leadership in records. Through leadership in records. Those tons and tons of records that you keep, don't just be satisfied that you're good with the detention schedules, you know which record is kept where, you know where to find. Go a little bit deeper. What are the records saying about the people that you're working? What management insights can you share? What management action can be taken as a result of the insights you've shared? That is what gets you on the table. Thank you.
The questions, I think they were very important, and the speaker was really good in what